You're listening to the Pace Radio Network, here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Good day and welcome to the Mushie Moment with myself and my awesome co-host, Reverend Cindy. We're live today on Tuesday, December 5th, sneaking up on Christmas 2023 on paceradio.net, CBG TV, and we stream everywhere.
Everywhere.
Good day.
I'm falling off my hat.
Froggy.
Play with frog.
We won't make any Quebec jokes.
No.
Hi, Andre and Joanne.
Hey, Steve.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome.
Yeah. I just got back from Ontario. I was celebrating my great aunt's 100th birthday, 100 years young.
Did you ask her what's the most amazing thing that she's seen in her lifetime that sticks in her memories?
No, but we did ask her how she made it to 100, and she said beer. Kind of a crazy thing to say on a psychedelic show, but that is what my great aunt said. A beer a day. That's how I got here.
Wow.
That's what she said.
I have no words.
No, I didn't know what to say. I laughed at her and I said, okie dokie, Aunt Dot. And I went elsewhere. I went outside and smoked a joint at that point in time.
Nice.
And one thing I've got to say is she's staying in a nursing home in Hamilton, Ontario. And when I went outside to smoke my joint, trying to be respectful, it's a nursing home and whatnot. They did have a smoking section, but I was going out with two nurses and they smelled my joint, obviously. And I said, I'll go over to the other side of the parking lot, not to bother anybody. She goes, well, you can just go over here and smoke with our residents. That's where they smoke their joints. Well, that's really cool to know that you guys help supply. They help, bring it in. They do call-in orders, delivery orders, and they can go out there and use their cannabis all they want.
Great. A couple more years, I can put myself in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Apparently there's one down here in Windsor, Nova Scotia. And I was chatting with somebody and one of my relatives that came up from Nova Scotia, and it's the same way. You can go out to the smoke. As long as you're in the smoking section, they don't bother you.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it is legal. They shouldn't bother you.
They shouldn't, but the stigma is still there, especially around places like that. So,
and a lot of that older generation still holds that stigma.
Yeah.
A friend of mine's dad didn't smoke his joints till he had cancer, and he actually ended up passing away. He fought as much as he could, but it wasn't until the last few weeks that my buddy got him to actually smoke a joint with him. He said, Dad, I grew this pot for you. I grew it specifically, to smoke with you so that you can get some relief. And they smoked the joint. And about an hour later, his dad looked at him and said, why is this stuff illegal? That's what it took in that moment. But the programming had been so heavy that, well, I'm dying anyway. I might as well try it, right?
Yeah, it's the same with my mom. She suffered with lupus and lots of pain. And eventually, she wouldn't listen to me, her daughter, right? Eventually one of my dad's friends gifted her something to try. And she tried it. And once she realized that it was working, that's when she finally opened up to me about it. And we found an amazing protocol that took away a lot of her pain. And she had, she didn't stop taking the pharmaceuticals, but she cut it down by half, which totally shocked her.
That's awesome.
It was beautiful. Yeah. And if she was around now, I would be feeding her mushrooms.
Yes. Yes. Because, hey, mushrooms are also pain relief.
They
as
are.
well as healing and fixing and immuno-boosting, and they're frickin' magic without even being the magic kind.
Oh yeah, no, you don't have to go into the psychedelic ones. Like, I mean, there are tons of them that that help, and we've learned that from a variety of people that we've had on the show, including you, with the protocols that you have. But we met a really, really knowledgeable gentleman when we were at the Spirit Plant Medicine Conference.
Oh yes,
We had the joy of sitting next to him.
Mushroom man. It's like, no, I'm not the mushroom man, but you're about to meet him.
He's definitely one of the most knowledgeable people I met outside of Paul Stamets when I was there about mushrooms. And I didn't get a really chance to talk to Paul, but I did spend the weekend sitting next to this wonderful gentleman. You got to meet him last year as well. And Tony and I got to forge a friendship. I'm not known him for very long, but I already consider him to be, a very good friend. You're supposed to agree because
I agree.
I agree.
Hey, you said you would put your hand up for pauses.
Oh, and I did. I was talking. That's a whole other conversation. Okay, I obviously still have a lot of work there to do because I have to learn to put them back down when I'm done.
Oh, that's awesome. Should we bring them on? Should we bring them on?
We should.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tony Oakworth.
Hello.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here. That was a wonderful intro. You guys are great.
We like to have fun. That's for sure.
Too, I can tell. I have a question for you before we get started. What kind of beer was Auntie so-and-so drinking, great aunt drinking? Because that's a wild story.
It is. Aunt Dot. I am honestly not sure what her favorite beer is. I didn't look at the can because a number of people, of course, brought her a single can of beer because, I mean, she's been saying this for years that, a beer a day is what's gotten her this far. So she had a number of people bring her, including, I think, one of her nurses, bring her a can of beer. And I honestly, I didn't.
Brilliant. I'm stealing that. I'm going to tell everybody that as I get older, a doobie a day.
There you go.
Bring me 3 doobies. It's brilliant. I love you, Auntie Dot.
I'll go with that protocol too.
I'm going to go with the mushrooms though. Get there. Magic mushrooms, gram a day.
5 MEO, a gram a day.
It's an expensive one, but yeah, let's try that.
Oh man.
Well, Tony, we are very excited to have you on. We've actually been talking about this since you and I chatted about it and decided that we'd like to have you on at the conference. And then Steve and I got chatting. So we've been excited to have you on since then. It's really nice to chat with you again, my friend. We shared a few days of wonderful stories and doobies and laughter, and it was absolutely fantastic. And it's really great to sit and chat with you again. I'm going to jump right into my first question, and I gave you a little warning shot before we went on air. First question that Steve and I usually like to throw out is, what brought you into the psychedelic world? What's your story? What got you here?
Well, do you want the Cole's notes or do you want the long version? Because we might need more than an hour if we're going to go.
So we already know that we'll be bringing you back for a second show.
All right, let's see. Every time I think about this, there's different points I can go back to. But I think the place I go back to really is my childhood because I grew up in I think like most of us in a broken home. I don't think any of us really get through this without some form of messed up family situation. I had an alcoholic, narcissistic father and mother who was very codependent and turns out a sibling that would grow to be like my father. So 2 people suffering narcissistic personality disorder. At a very young age, right out of elementary school, I teamed up with a bunch of kids that were a lot older than me. And for some reason, all these kids, they were 3-4 years older. They really liked me and they were like, you're going to be our little mascot. And we're going to take you around. You're going to party with all the older kids and you're going to do all this. So I kind of started everything at the same time. I started the booze and the cigarettes but the psychedelics as well. So LSD and mushrooms, those came in, around 12, 13 years old. Now I would continue to do this for over a decade in the absolute worst possible way, right? You're at the park with your friends, trying to shovel down a bunch of dry mushrooms with some orange crush and some Doritos or something horrible, and then it wouldn't be until my mid-30s, honestly, that my friend and I sat down one day and said, I've got some rocks and some crystals and sticks and some mushrooms. Let's sit down and do a thing. We're gonna do some kind of a ritual ceremony. We had no idea what the fuck we were doing. Pardon my language, but
it's all
is that okay on this show? Can we do that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we sat down and we just said let's put some intention into this. I can remember literally, lighting up my stick of Palo Santo, and I'm supposed to be thinking stuff right now as I do this, right? That's what people do. They think about stuff. And, I sat down with my friend and my voice started to waver. Because right now, all of a sudden, I'm speaking completely from my heart. I said something to the effect of, let's do this for the betterment of ourselves, or our families, our community, and the world at large. Let's see what this brings for us. And long story could be expanded upon, but to shorten it up, we had tremendous benefit from that. And like I said, I can finish up that story if you like after. And then we went on to do this for a decade, and we did it every year. We dedicated this specific weekend to that same ceremony. And we developed a ritual over a decade.
How did the ceremony change from the first one to where you are now?
Absolutely. Well, so if we fast forward now, all the way up until, say, number 9, now I'm waving my Palo Santo around and I'm saying all the things in my head that I know I need to say, right? And I whip out my crystals and my rocks, and they're in a geometric form before we, can even think about it. And we're saying all these things that sound like, orators from like long years of ceremony and whatnot. But I will say, Steve, I decided to do something really goofy in that moment, and it showed my lack of experience still after 9 years, because I threw in, let's do some clearing for the ancestors as well. That's all I said. I just threw it out there. And one thing we can talk about if you want, and I'm a fan of this kind of dialogue about psychedelics, but you kind of get what you ask for.
Yeah. Not even kind of. You
right?
get what you ask for.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. So, yeah, I got my, I think I got my psychedelic ass handed to me that night, where I began purging for just myself at first and my traumas. Then I was purging for my community. Then I was purging for my country. And then it was for my planet. And then, Jesus Christ, 3.5 hours later, I'm still crying out of every orifice and collapsed on the floor, head buried in my friend's arm. What the fuck is going on here? And what's wild is we developed a bit of a relationship. I call him my spiritual interpreter, because he would tend to say the words that I was thinking. And so I'm sitting there and I'm going, there's something I'm trying to get out and I can't say it. And my buddy's lying there and he whispers something. And it's really funny because in that moment I go, damn it, speak up. And he was having an experience where his throat chakra was closed off. And his whole lesson was like, you're not speaking loud enough and into the reality. So the two of us got to something right in this moment. And I said, damn it, scream it out. And he says, you asked for this. And I went, oh, fuck, I did. And I just started, that brought on more tears, obviously, right? Because I went, oh my God. Like, so I didn't tell him about the ancestor comment. The mushrooms told him to tell me, because he said, literally, the mushrooms have a message for you, which he often says. You asked for this. I went, holy shit. And then he goes, well, I guess this is what happens on number 9. And we started to just piss our pants laughing. For the next half an hour, we were just laughing our asses off. So it always ends on that little upturn, doesn't it? Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was that's the big difference was we really learned. And then by number 10, the mushrooms said, you guys have done this enough in isolation. We need you to take this out to the community now. And so we did this for a couple different men's groups now, and hugely successful nights, and really felt like something we were here to do. Like it really felt like we were doing our kind of in secret too. We were like, oh my God, look at us. We're doing this thing and we're not telling anybody. It's so cool. So yeah, it feels really nice and really good to sort of spread some of our findings, I suppose you could say, over the years.
I just did a podcast with Ashley Vibes, and in there we talked about, my finding ceremony, because to begin with, I come in more from a scientific background and, published studies, etc. And when Ashley and Cindy were out this summer, I watched them putting a lot of effort into ceremony. And it wasn't that I say this and that one, I didn't poo-poo it, but I didn't understand it.
Sure.
And then as I started to do the ceremony, like Cindy would do the ceremony, and I laugh because my first ones was the same thing. I'm supposed to be thinking something here, but at this point I'll just do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And hopefully it comes along. Woohoo! And as we did more ceremonies, and I relaxed in my embracing of the ceremony, and those other thoughts and the actions come in. And then in processing that data, I realized ceremony is one of the ultimate powers of gratitude. And you give the gratitude to the medicine, you give the gratitude to the heritage, to the lineage that's brought that ceremony to you.
Right.
And it's like, oh, science-wise, there's a shitload of published studies on the power of the energy of gratitude.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, it all makes sense, even though, from a science point, you might not see it, but in the end, it all makes sense.
Yeah. I've never put that into that perspective. So thank you for that, because that really, that kind of drives it home for me. It is a form of gratitude. To me, everything we do in that external reality is a symbol of what we desire, right? I don't know if you've heard this, maybe it's a metaphor or whatever, but people talk about the computer screen, right? And they say, like, the little file on your screen, it's not really a little file on your screen with a bunch of photos in it that you open and pull out photos. It's a useful fiction that helps you navigate this complexity, right? That's the same as our external world to me. That's what we're in this thing, and everything is an icon, right? It's all a representation of the desire to place something out. So when we sit down and we hold a headache pill or a sacrament like a mushroom, whatever it is we're about to do, this is the symbolic thing of what we're going to do. Take MDMA. Is it the MDMA, or is it the symbol of that MDMA that you need to access things, right? The ceremony for me is that it's that symbol, like you said, saying to the reality, saying to the divine, saying to the mushrooms, we're here with intent now. We're here not to goof around, but to join up that lineage of people doing this for a long time. And I think that power comes through, infuses what you're doing. And I think you probably notice this too, Steve, is that sacred feeling just gets so strong. You're like, oh, wow, we're meant to be doing this. This is where I'm supposed to be right now.
I've never found, since I've started doing ceremony, I've never found it not being empowering.
Yeah.
It's always empowering. There's an added power into the medicine when you add the ceremony in. When you authentically perform ceremony.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what else I noticed? The big change for us when we first did this, I didn't get the stomach gut rot upset thing I normally get in the park with my friends. I didn't get the anxiety that I normally get. A lot of the things that I found kind of uncomfortable about mushrooms, gone. and just like right into this reverence and this sort of, like I said, sacred, I call it like sacred mode. It's like, you know, choosing your video game character. What mode do you want to play today? Sacred mode, you know, whoa. And yeah, I mean, there's something really fundamentally different about that experience that brought a lot of revelation, that brought a lot of these kind of insights to, you know, the fucked up processes that we all kind of laid down when we were kids. You know, I think by doing these things while I was growing in my, you know, the teenage brain, I think I synchronized the hemispheres. I laid down some good tracks with these things, and it gave me a high level perspective that I could, you know, do pattern recognition with, and I could see lots of, you know, I like to go from the big to the small and back again and tune in.
The trauma gives you the ability to scope and watch for pattern immensely.
That's
so
it.
Once you can change that from a conscious, subconscious, always running program to bringing it in when you need it or want it. Now you're stepping into the superpowers, man.
Well, we talked about that a little bit because I think our brains work in a similar fashion, right? And they can be, I think all three of us have that in common, right? But yeah, we have superpowers, and then we have super challenges as well, which turn into superpowers eventually, right? We're doing our
Yeah.
They do.
How early are we for doing a? Is it too early to do a break?
Too early yet. Too early for you to do your lines yet. Damn.
Dang.
We're all
I
excited.
can't wait to jump them into the science end, but I don't want to jump them yet. But everybody has to make sure they hang, because like right now we're going through the spiritual end and the energetic end, but this man has got a science end that'll blow your mind as well.
Yeah, and I want to talk about your company as well and what you're doing and the products that you've got put out there,
Sure.
Which probably goes with the science and at the same time. So yeah, I mean, like you got and let's talk about the company for just a minute. We've got a few minutes before we get a break.
Sure.
So you go through all of this with your friend, and you go through the years of doing it wrong, and then you jump into the years of doing it right.
Yeah.
And learning to do it right. I mean, it wasn't all right, but like you had some harsh lessons, which I've got to remind me after the show. I've got a story about a friend of mine and how she learned that harsh lesson through me. Not that it happened to me, but it happened to her. So, so you've learned all this. Where did you start putting your products together at in the realm of these 20 years that you've just told us about?
Yeah, so that's a good question. It was right at the beginning. So I'll tell you very, very briefly here. I had a former life as an animator, classical animator. I worked in television. I had a completely different life. It feels like another one that's a dream now. When I left out of depression, it was My Little Pony was my final job, and those little four-legged bastards drove me to leave the industry altogether. And I went to South America, and I told my wife, I said, South America is going to tell me what I'm going to do next. That's how I do things. And just out of the woodwork, everyone telling me, herbal medicine, try herbal medicine. You're going to do this is how we use this for our, coughs and colds, whatever. I got back from my trip 6 months in South America, and I said, damn it, I'm going to be a herbalist. This is what I'm going to look into. I found a course on the island, which is where I live now. And it was right about the time I was starting into herbal medicine in 2011 and really getting down to this actual science, right? We do, so our phytotherapy program at Pacific Rim College is, we're deeply into anatomy, physiology, pathophysiology, botany, materia medica of plants, all these different things. So I got a capsule maker, 100 capsules, which is very exciting. I sat down and I had my bag of empty capsules, and I started to go, I can just put whatever I want in these. Like, that's kind of empowering, right? That's kind of wild. So I just started dreaming things up. And so I thought, well, what are some of the things I encounter with mushrooms? Gut rot and some anxiety sometimes, and maybe a little bit of like my blood sugar feels dysregulated. Maybe my circulatory system feels like something's funky with it. So I started to put those herbs together. I chose chamomile and kava for anxiety, and things like that. I'd heard lion's mane was good for the brain, so we put that in. Meadowsweet, again, for the gut. Passion flower, mild MAO inhibitor, so stretching it out a little bit, right? And I stumbled on this recipe, and my friend and I started to take these things just for fun. But I happened upon the recipe, and my big joke is I'm the inventor of microdosing, but of course I'm not. I had 10 grams of mushrooms. I had 100 capsules, so I banged them in and got 1/10 of a cap, or 1/10 of a gram per cap, right? So Mr. Magoo stumbled into his recipe, and I would do this now for a few years. And my friend and I are taking these things and going to work and going, wow, we feel like really good. And you can take one and have a normal day, but you just feel a little bit better and more creative and blah, blah, blah. And then out of the blue, one day he calls me up 2 years later. He says, we're doing a thing. We're doing this thing that everyone's doing in Silicon Valley and blah, 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 blah. And I said, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And it was exactly the 1/10 of a gram. And yeah, so from there I took them to festivals, and my aging party buddies were like, we can't take the drugs anymore. What do you got, Tony? And I started supplying all my friends with these things. So they were very popular at festivals like Base Coast and things like that. $2 a pop. There you go. Whatever, who cares? Just about giving them away. And I found some people that really liked my ideas, and they said, can you come up with 4 other recipes? And I said, I could come up with 1 million other recipes. Let's do it. And that's how the capsules came about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a good time now, Steve.
Oh, it's break time. It's time to check out our sponsors, Pay Some Bills. You're here with us live on the Mushie Moment on paceradio.net, CBG TV, and we'll be right back. Out on Ford Road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to save the VCBC at gmail.com. I guess those are the 2 easiest ways for people to help right now.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you a cannabis content creator? Are you looking for a place to have your content seen? If you answer yes to both questions, then you need to check out cbgtv.com. CBGTV broadcasting to a worldwide audience. Find us at cbgtv.com.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
And we're back to the Mushie Moment, streaming live to you here at paceradio.net and CBG TV.
Awesome. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back. So you get two websites. I'm just getting to where I can click things. I'm going to put one up at a time. People can go check them out. Why don't you tell us about this website that we've got up there, and then I'll let Steve ask his take over and do the scientific chat.
Sure. Yeah, Mycelial Mind is a project of a few people, some herbal-minded folks up island here. I was brought into the project to help do some formulation for them and just promoting them in general. It's a wonderful product. I've got a wide therapeutic range. It's a tincture that it's about 2 dropperfuls, I reckon, something like that. Yeah, 2 dropperfuls for a microdose. So you can titrate up really, really, fine tune your process in the way that you prefer. So it's nice that way. For really sensitive people, I find that with the 0.1 of a gram or 100 milligrams or whatever, on occasion is a little bit, there you go. On occasion is a little bit higher than some people want. So yeah, the Mycelial Mind lets you really like slowly find your sweet spot, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Steve?
I had to run and get that because I picked this up. I didn't grab this year. I grabbed this the year before when I first met you. And
that's right.
It's empty. Just so you know, it's empty.
I didn't give you a bottle this year. Oh, I had a couple of sample bottles. I would have given them to you. I can't believe
I would have accepted.
I will make sure to send your address and I'll get one to you both. Absolutely.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I found that it's like because you can do the dropper thing, you can do a microdose.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, my energy in life didn't allow me to feel a lot of real subtle stuff, but I did play with that a lot. Going, where is it? I'm noticing something.
Yeah.
And I noticed you've got some good stuff. Well, yeah, you've got some good stuff going.
One of the things that we do in the training for phytotherapy is we help to train people's perceptual systems, right? So we do something called organoleptic sessions. And you can do this at home as well with a singular tincture. Take something that you have, maybe you've got a reishi tincture or something like that. And, you sit with it, you take a few drops, close your eyes, tune into it, think about things. What do you sense? What do you feel? And I'll tell you, I do this with my mushroom class at the college. And I don't tell them what mushroom it is. I just give them all a taste, and then I write on the board all the feedback. And you give them something like lion's mane, and they'll be sitting there, and people will say, "I feel like my brain is like tingling," and you're like, "Okay, brain tingling. I feel like this might be helpful for like gut and brain. Oh, interesting. I'm seeing like a sea creature. Oh, yeah, that's interesting." And I'll list a whole board full of stuff, and then they go. And then I reveal the mushroom, and it's like, it's mind blowing to see, how we tune into things. So, you can do that over time and start to really train your system Like, I'm at the point now where I put food in my mouth and I can go, oh yeah, I can tell that's going to be a problem. It's, my body's going to not be so happy with that, potato-y thing I just, fried potato-y thing I just ate or whatever.
Yep.
So yeah, it's something that takes time. Most of us are out of tune with our bodies, right? It's not, we never learned to be in tune. We learned actually to separate from ourselves, right? And part of my mission is helping to bring people back to themselves in some way.
Yeah, that's a beautiful mission. So let me ask you a question.
Sure.
You got playing with the stuff. You started creating tinctures and stuff.
Yeah.
And then now you're teaching a thing at a college.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a couple steps in there that we're not aware of.
Well, I took the community herbalist course, and it was like a little bit of free drugs. Like okay, now I'm hooked. And so I took the full program. I went into working in supplements actually for a little bit, which was a high sales fluorescent lighting environment. Not my favorite. And most people were just there for a magic pill, like I'd say I'd try to help people. Like, what? Let's get to the root of things. Fuck, shut up, dude. Give me what? I've got heartburn. I want to go home, eat my pizza, drink my 6-pack. What do I
hear you, brother?
What do I take? And so when I actually got, someone from the college came in and they said, "What are you doing now that you're graduated?" Well, here I am. They said, "Do you want to come work at the college?" And I said, "Yeah, okay, see you later." And I went and worked in our herbal dispensary. And for a year and a half, getting a lot of familiarity with all of our medicinal plants and approving, students' formulas, things like that. And what's funny is we had these medicinal mushrooms lined up on the desk there, and students would say, "Well, why don't we have a medicinal mushroom course?" And I'd say, I don't know, we really ought to have something like that. And again, a student come along and, "Anyone get teaching medicinal mushrooms here?" No, I don't know why, it's odd. And there's something inside of me just completely ignorant to the fact that one day I go, "Well, I'm really into mushrooms." And wait a minute, and I wrote down a quick proposal, and the dean said right away, "Yeah, it sounds great. Let's do it." And before I knew it, I was creating a 45-hour course. And basically that's it. We taste mushrooms. We talk about them. I have a monograph for them. And I take them out to the forest and we look for mushrooms one day and things like that, and do some cultivation stuff as well.
Nice. A little foraging, a little cultivation.
Yeah, low tech cultivation, just accessible.
So the universe had to subtly speak to you a few times before you went, "Oh, I'm hearing you now."
It's kind of yelling at me a lot of time, actually.
I know somebody else like that.
Really?
Yeah. I sit here and giggle, and I'm like, "You see that, Steve? You see that line forming?" And he's like, "No."
What? I get that sense, Steve. I get that sense too.
Yeah, we were brothers in another lifetime.
I think so.
Brothers, you guys were freaking twins in another lifetime.
It's possible.
Oh man. So now where you're at, you've got a course you're teaching, and of course to teach anything, you have to learn it.
Yeah, I dove in. My first teaching gig at the college was actually not mushrooms. It was writing, believe it or not. They have a writing class. They want people to come out of the college and, represent the college and be able to write a page for their website or something like that. So I thought, well, I'm working away in this dispensary. I'll put my hand up and I'll just say, "Oh yeah, well, I'll do it." Just thinking they're obviously going to pick everyone else instead of me. And all of a sudden I got a phone call one day and they said, "Would you like the job for the writing class?" And my wife said, my face dropped, and she said, "Did somebody die? Are you okay? What happened?" And I said, "Oh shit, I got this job that I don't, what do I do now?" And so I dove into writing, and I learned a lot that summer. I didn't get much of the summer outside, but I learned a lot about writing, and I taught that for 2 years. And that was very difficult because the level of writing is so vast right now. kids don't get taught writing at all in school anymore, nothing. And so the levels, like I said, there was some very advanced and some, my source book was a grade 6 English textbook for most adults.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Don't worry about it. AI will write it for you.
That's right. Well, that's it now. Now we're doomed to be completely removed from the thinking of anything, right? The smart, everything smart just makes us dumb. So,
yeah.
You guys remember phone numbers? Remember addresses when we used to navigate the world that way? People would say,
before GPS and cell phones.
Oh yeah. We found each other somehow, and we remembered where we lived and phone numbers. And I mean, I don't even know. I've been a million times now to one place, and the Google Map thing has to come out. It's like, what happened? But anyway,
we had to open up all that space for memorizing that stuff to remember all the stuff about mushrooms.
I guess that's it. That's true.
Adaptogens and new topics and other plants
and to free up some space, let's just dump that information. The phone will do that.
That is true. And yeah, I guess I just jumped into reading lots of studies and just getting really nerdy with a lot of this. And I thought, well, this is perfect. It's an endless learning curve, right? I'm never going to.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
It literally is an endless learning curve.
That's it.
So much to know. Yeah.
So much. I mean, even you telling me, Cindy, about the 5-MeO training and all of that, I still have yet to try that one. And I, it's on my list, and you're my gal.
Oh, and I've got the perfect angel that's going to come help me. Next time I'm out there, we'll get you to come in, and we will have a ceremony. It'll be beautiful.
Oh man, I'm so looking forward to that. That's gonna be amazing. Yeah. Oh, that would
be life changing. Yeah, always for the better.
Oh yeah. Wow. I think these things are. My life. I think my life was spared. I think that's something that we all share. I think that was something that when Cindy first told me, about her story, I was like, this is the real people I can connect to, because we come from the same, similar origin stories, right? All of us, the psychedelic community that we're a part of, everyone looks at you and they wink and they nod and you're like, and I know that and we both know that we know. And yeah,
that was something I said to Cindy. Well, I actually had said it to my girls, and Cindy told me that after the conference, she said, I get it. Yeah. And I said to him, my girls are addicts on the downtown east side.
Yeah.
And I said to him, you feel comfortable here because these people accept you as you are, even with your eccentricities, etc.
Yeah.
And when you're in what we consider the myth of normal area, you're not comfortable. And I told him, but on the other end, the area with the plant medicine people, the area that I'm learning to walk in, the hurt healers helping hurt healers heal, that area, you get accepted as well. But instead of being in the dark, you're in the light, and you can literally find your tribe and walk into the light. And all those things that you think are weird are actually embraced because somebody else looks at you and goes, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, nicely.
What did you say? You said after that conference, I realized the only person judging me there was me.
Yeah, that was so powerful. I took that really into my heart, and I was like, shit, I think it almost brought tears to my eyes, or maybe it did, because that was the same vibe. I mean, it's always the same, right? We're all doing that same thing. And I mean, that's the first time I realized one day when I got home and the voice was going, oh, wow, you're such a fool. Like, look what you said in front of people, blah, blah, blah. And I went, wait a minute. Everyone else has got you saying the same shit. No one's thinking about me. They're all thinking about themselves. And
that voice that's going.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I hear you now. I can see that. And yeah, I've worked hard at that. Now I can catch that really quickly. But that was the big realization. Everyone's doing that to themselves, and nobody. So yeah, Cindy, that one still sticks with me.
Yeah, it's a beautiful quote. It truly is.
Yeah, and it really summed up that place as well. Like you said, we're kind of this family. Do you guys know the Ram Dass retreat? That group of people. Ram Ram Dass and the
That's
his
who Ram Dass is, yeah.
yeah, he's got like a, you know, there was quite a group going to Maui there and meeting for once or twice a year, and I got to be privy to two of those actually because my in-laws had a place there, and so I was blessed to go and be there, and that was the same thing. You know, it was actually, I'll tell you this really quickly, funny story, but when I first went into this, I thought, oh yeah, I'm just an observer here. I'm not one of these hippies that's going to be doing all the no. I'll be watching you folks and seeing what you're doing. And like day 2, I'm like kirtan and crying and like, you know, part of this thing. And it was just like, I would have been embarrassed, you know, the day before to think of me the next day. But it was because of that wink and that nod. Everyone came from a psychedelic background, you know. Some guy offered up Skittles in the audience, and these 2 old ladies turned around, proper like old, you know, like late 80s, early 90s, and they said, "Well, not unless it's got LSD in it or something like that." And I went, "Wow!" And then I ended up talking to those ladies for like a few hours, but you know, it just the camaraderie. You know, you can tell these people they've been through those trenches, and we know what that feels like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It puts that little bit of level of compassion that a lot of the current television programming over the last few years have said, no. Suck it up, toughen it up. You don't need to be compassionate.
Right. Yeah. It's the dehumanizing, you know, bigging up the ego and stripping away all the, you know, the things that make us empathic and compassionate and care about each other. I think we're all really wanting the same thing and aiming in the same direction, but we're constantly told the opposite, right? Oh, you're horrible, you're divisive, you want to fight, you want to have these divisions.
But if you buy these products,
yeah, that's right. Yeah. Buy now and have a moment of happiness before you plunge back into darkness again.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a thing coming in the mail, you know.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, Cindy, come up with a good question.
Ooh. Well, you know, I'm glad I've got a moment because I've brought up the other website now, Delos World, which is that's your product, is it not?
It is. Yeah, that's the one that I told you that, you know, people thought I had some good ideas and they decided to put some money toward it. That started in 2019. And yeah, we had 4 formulas. The 5th one was dreamt up by me for me. They needed one more, and that was the funky shaman formula with, you know, blue lotus and a bit of cannabis and things like that in there. Little nod to the cannabis reverend there. But yeah, it was a lot of fun kind of coming up with all these things. My big, I guess, mission with this product and this company is I wanted to make it approachable to people. So, you know, I had to, in my mind, I wanted to forego some of the psychedelia that I grew up with, so that people like my mother would walk up and go, that looks like a product I can entertain or look at. I really do think that this space has enough room for everybody. So products like that for certain people, that's great. It'll open them up to something maybe they weren't, you know, previously into. I have something in my house right now called Dummy Bears. They're like 1,300 milligrams, 3 of them, and they're each one is like 500 milligrams or something stupid. I bite an ear off, and I'm like, okay, that's good. The other night I had too much, and I went for the whole head or whatever. But Dummy Bears are not something that my mom would want to access. That's something that this dummy bear is okay to grab, right?
If you've got high tolerance and you're in the game and you've been playing for a while,
that's
one of the things I really, really work with people now about is dose, and less is more. Because when you're helping the cancer people and you're using that full extract, and you tell them half a grain of rice, the size of half a grain of rice, and then they gloop out like 2 grains and they go, what's that gonna do?
Yeah.
You know, and then later it's like, I don't know if I want to do that anymore. Oh my God.
I had that exact experience with a 93-year-old woman, and bless her, I felt so terrible. But it was that old mentality of like, don't waste it. It's all on the plate now. You got to finish it, right? And I'm like, no, God, no, don't. But thank goodness the ND that she was working with said, she wanted to run the other way because the poor girl almost, couldn't get out of bed to go to the toilet and stuff. But when the ND said, I want you to try it again, but with that actual amount, and I think she went on to use it and have some benefit in later in life there. But yeah, she came into the store and said, I've got cancer on my nose and I've got these problems. What's the best thing in the store? I said, it's not in this store. Maybe that's why they didn't like me at that store and they fired me eventually, but I would send everyone to the cannabis dispensary.
That's funny. In certain ones, they're like, I'm sorry, but the government ones are set up for recreational.
Yeah.
If you need medical and you need those type of oils, you can't get them.
No, it's terrible. That whole thing that's a conversation on its own. But I know I feel like it's, I don't want to eat 10 chocolate bars to get the dose I need. That's kind of ridiculous.
And they don't get it right. A year ago, I went and did something that was, scary for me to do. It doesn't matter what it was, but I went and faced a fear and I won. So my dad, he's like, oh, I'll go get her a treat. And so he went to, here in Nova Scotia, it's the liquor store, to get some cannabis.
Okay.
So he gets me, he got me a chocolate and a gummy. And he says, I want the strongest that you have, right? Because my daughter's got a big tolerance. So he brings me home altogether, according to the package, 14 milligrams.
Right.
10 in the chocolate, 4 in the gummy. The gummy was horrible. The chocolate was delicious. I ate them both. It was only 14 milligrams.
Yeah.
30 minutes later, I was so high. It was like I ate 150 milligrams. So they're not mixing properly because I didn't get no 10 milligrams in that chocolate or 4 milligrams in that gummy. One of them was way overdosed.
Way overdosed. Wow. And you've got tolerance.
For some reason, I'm thinking it was the chocolate.
Yeah.
And then they screwed up. Somebody screwed up and moved the decimal point. So instead of getting 10, I got 100. And that's what I think happened.
That would be really dangerous for some people.
Very dangerous.
Really bad. Wow. And those gummies are terrible, aren't they? They don't have any good flavor to them. They're ugh.
No, especially when I've got friends like this guy here that makes the best gummies going,
I'd have to agree with you there. And, my friend's bugging me to get some Zazzleberry too. So I'll have to share what I get from him and then I'll
I think there's a grape and a bubbleberry, which is the bubblegum strawberry, and a cherry in there as well, and then a couple of the spazberries.
Okay, nice.
Few things to try.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I will have to share with my buddy though, like I said. But yeah, I'm sorry, I got off track with the Delos world stuff. We got going. We hit a snag a little bit with some production stuff, and that set us back a little bit. And I became sort of de facto grassroots marketer, which I'm not necessarily. I'm an educator, and I love to talk, as you can probably tell. But yeah, I'm not much for sales and things like that. I just go out, I do what I do. I tell my stories, and that's another thing. I guess you did ask me sort of what else I'm doing, and I put on these talks around town wherever I can. Usually they're based on psilocybin. I've done a number of them, comparing and contrasting, macro and micro doses, talking about Delos world. These are herbally supported microdoses, so that my talks are often, how can we support this process a little bit better? And, when I was dreaming up these formulas to get into the science part a bit more, it was like, how can we optimize people? If your blood sugar, like I said before, if your blood sugar is going like this and you're crashing and you need to eat every 5 minutes to feel good, let's smooth that out. Let's put something in there to balance blood sugar. You have anxiety, let's chill that out. I did things, I put in adaptogen herbs that are incredible for mitigating stress and bringing you into a better place. A functional mushroom like maitake helps to ferry nutrients across the intestinal membrane. so things like that, like, dreaming up ways of getting this into people and really helping them thrive while they try this practice. I also get people to journey with I call it journeying with friends, with the bigger doses. So when we do our ceremony, you're going to choose between some usnea and some ghost pipe, and I'm going to talk about 3 or 4 different herbs. And when it comes time for you to take your dose, you're going to choose 2 travel buddies, a herb and a mushroom, to take while you do your journey. I think these things are like talismans. They can go with us. They can inform and protect and guide us in ways, right? So I'm really interested in sort of, for lack of a better word, capitalizing on the nature of the amplification of these things, right? Mushrooms opens us right up. We're very vulnerable, as you well know. Things have great impact on us, much more impact than in the normal waking state. So if I'm going to take some chamomile, yeah, that's a nice calming thing. But if I take chamomile when I'm on mushrooms, whoa, I might relax right into it. Maybe I'll ground into my body better. I always take a little bit.
I find the ghost tincture interesting because that's a particular nervine that's, used for that bring in, or if somebody starts to get excited in a trip, one you would use to help bring them down.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I might bug you for a bottle of that.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll show you. This is what I have left right here. It's like down to the last little bits of liquid coming out, but that's all ghost pipe in there.
You'll laugh because just this week I got a hold of my buddy Cease and said, "Hey, do you know where I can find this plant?"
It's not easy. This is the last remaining bottle I have here. But Steve, next time I see you, you're welcome to try it with me.
Oh yeah. Oh, we'll talk, because I'm the one thing Cease does is he'll find that plant.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a very elusive. It's called a heterotrophic plant. It's actually a fungus and a plant together, and the fungus infiltrates the root of this plant and grows into this ghostly kind of flower. Which is actually a fungus, right? So symbiotic relationship, pretty rare to find. But if you find
what is it, monotropa
uniflora?
Yeah.
But if you find there's a growing companion there, I think it's called candlestick or candy stick. You know what? I'll get back to you on that.
Oh yeah, we should get back to the podcast. Look at us sidetracking.
It's okay. Everybody gets to learn while you guys were talking, so it's all good.
There you go.
That's right.
But look at that time. So we should do that thing where he has to.
We should probably do that thing. What's great about we have changed a few things up here at Pace Radio is I don't have to watch the time as stringently as I used to, which is really beautiful. Yeah, it's really nice. And that just hit me here a minute ago. It's like, because I was watching the time, like, holy fuck, that's right. We don't have to do this anymore. So we can take an extra few minutes if we need. Okay. Tony, at this time, we usually give you the floor. Is there anything else that you want to add? Is there anything we didn't ask that you were hoping to say?
Or anything that you're putting on coming up that you want to tell people just in case?
Well, there was a couple things in your intro that I thought were really interesting about family and your moms and mushrooms and stuff like that. And, I wanted to take a moment to say that a few years before my mother passed, she passed 2 years ago, I was out at her house, and in her garden, her husband, Tom, lovely man, he's also passed as well. He says, "Tony, I know you're really into those mushrooms. There's quite a pile of them out in the back. I'd love you to go take a look." And I went out there, and it was a beautiful little patch of psilocybin cyanescens, the wavy cap.
Wow. So
the wavy cap is our local, very powerful, potent species. A lot more punch in it than the cubensis. And I came back in. I said, "That's really interesting, Mom. Your medicine grows where you are." And we have a little herbalist kind of tale that we tell, and I don't know how much truth there is to it, but it's a wonderful tale about the man that's out killing the fucking dandelions, and he has a heart attack, right? Because he's so fucking angry at these dandelions, And dandelion's a heart medicine. It's great for, for that blood pressure person like this angry fucker, right? So, I said to my mom, your medicine grows where you are, and she didn't turn it down. She didn't I was expecting more. I had already come out of the psychedelic closet, of course, at this point, but and then a few years later, when she was, actively in her final days, every time I went over to the mainland to see her, I brought some mushrooms with me. And unfortunately, she never got good enough or well enough in her decline to do that. The cannabis, on the other hand, I was sneaking into her when nobody was looking, in the form of capsules, and those were her brightest moments that she had. They were just beautiful. Her husband very quickly had the Whipple surgery, which is the pancreatic thing, and it's terrible, and almost no people recover from it. And he had a horrible final year of life there. But in his final days, he was cognizantly, really drifting in and out and not present and not himself. And I gave him some Delos capsules one day, and he was right back to who he was, 110%. He was with us. He was there. His eyes were locked. His brain was working. And I gave him several of these caps in his final month of life. And those were the highest quality days that he had. My mother and him connected a bit and things like that. So, just like a testament to our families and how they need healing as well. And if we can heal with our families, that's so powerful. I don't know if you guys caught, there's someone at the conference talking to me about all the generations getting together and having a ceremony, like the grandma and mom and the daughter. And I was like, it brought me to tears, right? How special would that be to do that and process with your family? So I believe we have to heal in groups. I think we start individually, and I think that the work we have to do is eventually in groups and together. And so I just
it's hard to integrate on your own.
Yeah, we need each other for that, right? We do. We have special, unique powers, every one of us, and we all bring those to the table.
Like your body had those magic words that you required.
That's it. We all have a piece, and no one person, despite Steve and I, our best efforts, no one person can do this alone. So, I encourage everybody to.
Did you hear that, Steve?
Oh yeah, John's my ass to let shit go and let people fucking do stuff. I'm hearing it. It's loud. Hey, John, I'm hearing the message. It's coming from a lot of ways.
But yeah, don't let it pass us by. Let's heal in groups. I am, interested in meeting with people. I'm taking people through journeys right now, individually, and then eventually in group. So you can contact me through my website. Actually, I'll just give you it's Tony@woodwardherb.com, and maybe I can give that to you in some official way. But you're welcome. People are welcome to contact me in regards to putting on some kind of a group session here on the island or elsewhere. And my friend and I go by the title The White Wizards. We call ourselves the White Wizards. We're not the love. Tony at with the
ampersand at.
Yep. And Woodward Herb. I think you had it there.
Okay. Let me just save that.
Woodward Herb. Ta-da! Yep, that's it. And I was gonna say, we're not the love and light people. We're the death and destruction people. So we like to kill you and bring you back and have you put yourself back together into a whole new version of yourself. So that's how we work. And yeah, I'm always up for talking to groups as well. So anyone that enjoyed my flapping of the gums, wagging of the chin, I'm open for doing that for other groups and other people too.
Awesome.
He's already saving up to go.
Yeah, awesome. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you two again at some point.
Absolutely.
It's going to be so fun. I'm really. When are you coming back to BC?
I am unsure at this moment. It's kind of up in the air, but I'm sure sometime within the first number of months of the new year, I will be back.
Okay, great.
Yeah, the universe keeps throwing things at her, and it's like, hey, you should come out here. You should come out here. You should, you know.
Yeah, I already have somebody saying, "Oh, you should come back out for the 420 cup," and I'm like, "Oh, I haven't recovered from last year."
I was just going to say, I'm still recovering from last year's. Holy crap!
Well, I would love to join you two for an event like that. I think that would just be too much fun.
You know,
it was a good time last year.
Yeah,
it was a lifetime of learning, but for the first time, I learned, yes, you can smoke too much. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they started off easy enough. There was like 4 or 5 edibles, and then they brought us over a few samples of cannabis, and then another sample of cannabis, and then another sample. I mean, I think there were like 10 of them, and then they started with the concentrates, which got up into the double digits too. And in a 5-hour span, we're supposed to try everything and pick our favorites.
That's not possible, because after the first 2 edibles are kicking in, you're like, I don't know, I'm just fucking stoned. You're just taking it out.
Yeah, it was. I was like, holy crap, this isn't possible.
Yeah.
But we did it. We survived.
We did.
Good for you. Yeah. I'm proud of you.
Oh. Is this where I read that last part, or pretend that I'm not reading that last part?
This is where we thank Tony and you read that last part. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much for coming on, brother. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I can't wait till we do it again. I have a feeling that feeling that there's going to be a lot of healing facilitated between us communicating more.
I think so too. And yeah, thank you so much, you guys. I've been really looking forward to this. I've been really excited. I've been telling people about my conference buddies and yeah, just looking forward to getting to know you guys even more every second I talk to you. So
absolutely. Me too.
And on that note, well, it's that time again. Thank you for joining us here on the Mushie Moment with my co-host Cindy, myself, and our guest Tony. Everything's backwards. It's hard to find where you're supposed to be. We're proud to be coming to you live from paceradio.net and cbgtv.com. We'll see you next week with more exciting guests, healing information, and much love.
Bye, everybody.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.